words of Ophir. So he's coming back in wrath. It says, therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place in the wrath of the Lord of hosts in the day of his fierce anger. This is talking about the second coming of Yehoshua, or who we know is, we call Jesus in English. It says, verse 14, and it shall be as the chaste roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn, listen to this. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee every one into his own land. When does that take place? That takes place in the year of Jubilee. Now, let's go read it in the New Testament, Matthew the 24th chapter. See, you're not free on Juneteenth. You're not free on May 28th. You're not free when he issued the Emancipation Proclamation. And he issued the Emancipation Proclamation. And initially, it only applied to slave states. It only applied to slave states that did not leave the Union. Or that did leave the Union, excuse me, that seceded. So, you know, Kentucky didn't leave. Hey, slaves all in Kentucky, but hey, emancipation don't apply there. Why? Because Lincoln said, if I could free all of the slaves and preserve the Union, I would do it. If I could free some of the slaves and preserve the Union, I would do it. If I could free none of the slaves and preserve the Union, I would do it. He never thought of blacks and whites as equals. What he was a pragmatist. He understood that slavery was an issue, that it was not sustainable as it was in the country, and it ripped the country apart. You need to read his second inaugural address that he gave. He talked about it was providence, that all the bloodshed of America. That was a political speech, but he also had other things to say. You also should read Leroy Bennett's book, Forced into Glory. But now this is Matthew 24. Matthew 24, notice what he says here. He says immediately in verse 29, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be dark, and the moon shall not give a light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. That's what we read in Isaiah. But he goes on to say, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. He's answering a question. The initial question was, his disciples came unto him privately saying, tell us, when shall these things be, and when shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Because he told them how the temple was going to be destroyed. It was in 70 AD, but he went beyond that, because they asked beyond that. They asked about his coming. He tells them, you're going to see all this in the heavens. What we just read here, what we read in Isaiah 13. Then it says, just like in Isaiah 13, where everybody's going home, and he shall send his angels the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other, because that's where they've been scattered. How were they scattered to the four winds, north, south, east, and west? They were gathered through the transatlantic slave trade. And then they're going to go home when he returns. He is the one that's going to redeem his people. He is the kinsman redeemer. But now, so that's what's going to happen. So forget about Juneteenth. It's really a slap in the face. You give everybody else reparations, you're going to give us Juneteenth so we can cook some greens and eat some chicken and have a day off and drink some beer and play some spades. And then when they try to embrace it, it's all a farce. When they try to embrace this foolishness at work and they cook you greens and chickens, I saw one company, they asked, what do you want to eat? Hey, we want chicken, greens, watermelon, Kool-Aid, grape soda, you know, all the stereotypical things that Negroes in America eat, right? They made those things, and then when they made them, they said, you know, that's racist. What it is foolishness. It's a slap in the face. Because everybody else say, you gonna do me wrong, hey, you better give me some money. You better give me some land. But Negroes want chicken on Juneteenth. This is Deuteronomy. Because it also stated that, you know, he did away with MLK. And I will be honest with you, the more and more I read about MLK, the more and more I study MLK, the more disdain I have for his program. Why? Because his program, he ushered in a social justice program with in a religious vehicle. He used all the religious rhetoric of the text, of the biblical text. You know, I went up to the mountaintop. I have seen the promised land. I may not get there with you but we as a people, I may not get there with you, but we as a people will get to the promised land. But he wasn't talking about getting land. He was talking about forced integration. And integration has been one of the worst programs. Actually, it is the worst program we imposed upon ourselves. But obviously, white America wanted that program to an extent. Otherwise, it would have never went through. So now he alludes to Moses. But Moses didn't go up to the mountaintop and see blacks and whites sitting in a lunch counter together drinking coffee. White man got money for the coffee. White woman got money from a man to get the coffee. And the brother sitting there with no coffee, but he at least he ate outside. That's not what Moses saw. Moses didn't see blacks and whites in line trying to vote in Mississippi. He didn't see that. Let's see what Moses saw. Deuteronomy the 34th chapter and verse 1. And Moses went up from the plains of Moab unto the mountain of Nebo to the top of Pisgah that is over against Jericho. And the Lord showed him all the land of Gilead unto Dan, and all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim, and Manasseh, and all the land of Judah unto the utmost sea, and the south, and the plain of the valley of Jericho, the city of palm trees, unto Zoar. And the Lord said unto him, This is the land which I swear unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, saying, I will give it unto thy seed. I have caused thee to see it with thine eyes, that thou shalt not go over thither. He didn't show him integration. He didn't say, I'm gonna show you all with blacks and whites living in the same suburb. You're not going to see that, Moses, but I'm going to show, Joshua going to allow that to happen. That's not what he's, so why misinterpret that and apply it to your plan? See, his plan was not the Most High's plan in the book. We need to repent as a people and turn back to him. That's what we need to do today. And we are going to do that as a people. It's not a coincidence that you're seeing all these things happen today, and that you're seeing even his people turn back unto him. Notice what it says in Leviticus 26 and verse 40. If they shall confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers with their trespasses, which they have trespassed against me, and that also they have walked contrary unto me, and that I also have walked contrary unto them, and have brought them into the land of their enemies, if then their uncircumcised hearts be humble, and they then accept of the punishment of their iniquity, then will I remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham will I remember, and I will remember the land. What was he talking about with Moses? The land. What is he going to give his people? The land. That's what it's about. It's not about some forced integration. It's not about voting. It's not about any of that. Going to white schools. And quite frankly, these people don't want to integrate with you totally. Why you think you the first one moving in the neighborhood? Next thing you know, you got your chest all poked out. Next thing you know, the air coming out of your chest as you see them for sale signs go up everywhere. When I moved over here, I was the first one. Like it's a badge of honor. Man, listen. We need to get back to the old ways. We need to get back to what's written. And the plan of deliverance has been outlined in the Bible for us. So that's what we need to get back to. And just a side note, I keep telling you this every MLK day. I tell you this. Go first, read what Martin Luther King Jr. wrote in seminary. He didn't believe in the virgin birth. He didn't believe in the resurrection. It's like these things. If you don't believe in the resurrection, how are you a so-called Christian? Then when you look at his lifestyle, see, and that stuff has already been out there, but it's going to be out there to the point where they are going to, mark my words, in a little time, that pedestal of deification that Martin Luther King is standing on, he will be pulled off of that. He will be pulled off of that pedestal of being someone who is untouchable. And people, because the reports that's going to come out, it's already available, so to speak. You look at what his close Ralph B. Abernathy said. Look at what others have said. But you look at what these reporters have said. Pulitzer Prize winning reporters have said. But it's going to come. You're going to see it. And it's going to be for the world. See, he privy to that. He know what Martin Luther King was doing. I'm telling you, everything from from prostitutes to assault, all kind of stuff about to come out. That stuff, that's probably why I am, now this is me looking at the situation. I can't say I have total evidence as to why he did that for MLK, but I believe he's looking at MLK like an immoral individual. Not saying he's moral, I'm just saying that's why, you know, because obviously being in the position that he's in, he knows firsthand some things that really are out there, but you'll see them soon enough wholesale. So my charge to my people is to ultimately get back to the book. Get back to what's written. Get back to our identity. Get back to our Torah. Get back to our prophets. Get back to the word. Get back to what's written so that we can ultimately be delivered as a people and prepare for the coming of the Lord. That's what we need. We don't need integration. We need reformation. That's what we need. We need a revival, a spiritual revival as a people. That's what we need. You worried about MLK and worried about Juneteenth, you need to be worried about the Most High. And with that, brothers and sisters, it's always my prayer that you will edify.